All
Good.
right.
All right.
Let's get a little theme music.
Let's do it. Bring it on. We always get head nods. Everyone gives us a head nod when it starts. They're like, okay, all right. This is fun.
Groovy.
This is Mama Coco by Blake Symphony. It's a good friend of ours. And
Our producer.
our music producer.
Music director, as it were.
All the things. He just came out with a whole line of clothes for spring that are just so pretty.
Music and clothes.
Right? Welcome to the TripBee podcast. We are here, Adelaide Braddock, Jim Manning, and we are talking to Rachel Winchester. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
I'm sorry, I'm on a
doing?
swivel chair today, so I'm like,
Still be spinning
I'll
a little
just
bit.
be spinning around while I'm talking at you. Rachel Winchester is the founder, owner, and solo entrepreneur of Visual Webmaster LLC, visualwebmaster.com. You can check her out there. Welcome here. This
Thank
is
you
awesome.
for having me.
We've been talking about this for a minute. I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah, it was nice to randomly meet you guys at PodCamp a few months ago.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was an experience. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was the first one in like 10 years or something.
Was it that long?
It was a minute. It was a hot minute.
I had learned about it that year.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think I'd heard about it like once before this one happened, and I was like, oh, I guess we should do this.
That was the first one in my life.
Yeah, same. Well, good. Well, great. Let's kind of get into it here because this is going to be fun. I'm excited to talk about this one. This is we got some good stuff in here. But Rachel, let me get you front and center here. Nope, that is not you. I'll try that again. So Rachel, tell us a little bit about yourself. You intro who you are.
Yeah, so my name is Rachel Winchester. A lot of people just call me Win for short. There tends to be another Rachel in the room, so it helps to have a nickname.
I can see that.
But I got that nickname in college. I went to Swarthmore College, class of 2017. My reunion is this weekend, so it's nice to reminisce about that time. But I wanted to come on the podcast to talk about my study abroad experience at Swarthmore. I went to the University of Hong Kong my freshman year. But a little bit more about me. I was born in Philadelphia, but I was raised in Easton, Pennsylvania, in the Lehigh Valley. And then I came back to the Philly area to Swarthmore to go to college. I majored in art history and interpretation theory, which is another way of saying I studied liberal arts at a liberal arts college.
That's fantastic.
I worked at the Philly Art Museum as an intern right before I graduated, and then that was my first job after graduating. But since then, I've kind of transitioned into web design and product design, and now I host the Philly WordPress meetup every month, and I also do a bunch of work with my alumni groups.
Love it.
Very cool.
And the WordPress group has a big event coming up soon, yeah? Or a big milestone at least, yeah?
Yes, I think this week is WordPress's 20th anniversary. It's weird to say anniversary because I think they should be saying birthday.
Yeah. I feel like when it was brought. Yeah, no, I get it. But that's
someday this week, I think Thursday is the official anniversary. But the Philly meetup, I am hosting a 20th anniversary party this summer in Philly. It's at a venue on 2nd Street, and it's on July 29th at 7 p.m. So if you guys are WordPress people or you like to party with the tech community, just find us in RSVP.
We're both. We got a WordPress website. We got tech fam all over the place here. Philly's really great for that. Like when we first moved here, it was to stay with some techie friends of ours, and we got in pretty good with the community here, and it's a robust space.
Yeah. I think there's a few reasons. I mean, a few reasons for that are just the companies that are here. You know, Comcast is a huge name, and all
Nerd Street is here,
and all the healthcare companies with health tech But I think another big reason are just all of the colleges in the area.
Mm-hmm.
Young people love tech, and we've got Drexel University.
I was just about to say the Drexel STEAM program is probably one of the coolest I've ever encountered.
Yeah.
Like, because everyone talks about STEM, but nobody incorporates the art aspect of it. And it's funny because we were just talking on our last interview with Liz McLean about how people have this sense of if you're really good at sciences and math and such, you should study coding languages. When in fact, like if you're good at languages, if you have a propensity for language and music and art and patterns and things like that actually makes it easier to understand coding languages because you're studying the same way. I mean, you're just making something communicative happen in the process. So I find Drexel's approach to that really awesome because they incorporate that art into the STEM elements. So you get, so they'll do like robotics and fashion, for example. Like they cross discipline all of these different areas of expertise, and they come out with some really cool stuff. So
I'm picturing robots on the runway.
You are
right now.
You are. I was too when I was there. Yeah, but yeah,
not far away.
But
that sounds really cool. I actually have a lot of my cousin went to Drexel because she loved the co-op program, but I have a lot of respect for Drexel because it's exactly opposite the school that I went to. Like Swarthmore College, tiny liberal arts school, only 4 years. Everyone does like a unpaid internship or some research thing over the summers, and then we go, and to get PhDs or whatever in the humanities and social sciences. Whereas Drexel, they're known for income earned after graduating, and they do the co-op thing for 5 years, so everyone knows everything about their industry.
Yeah,
it's like, my roommate used to be a Drexel business student, so it was just very interesting, just always the compare and contrast.
I can only imagine. Yeah, we had a couple of interns. Actually, that's how we got Liz. She had started out as a Drexel co-op and just killed it.
Ooh, interesting you mentioned that. I am about to get an intern this summer from Swarthmore.
Nice.
To work on a website project.
Very cool.
Speaking of unpaid internships, the Philly startup community is robust. We are doing the things. I love that. All right. Well, we'll have to check out some more of like where you're headed and how things are progressing and whatnot. Because I know you're one of those where it's like every time I talk to you, you have a new update of like something cool that you've just done, and I'm like,
yeah. So I think we met at PodCamp because in general I like public speaking, but we ran into each other again at Philly startup events because I hope to be there at some point. I do have a startup idea and got a partner to do it with, and we've done all the research, but I have other work that is taking up my time right now.
That's so weird. How does that affect your productivity? I
don't well, we're free cash flow, free seed for the startup stuff. So I gotta obviously do what pays the bills.
Yeah.
But being a product designer is fun, so I'm not complaining at all.
Yeah. Well, and you're good at it, so that helps.
Yeah. Thank you. And all the skills are transferable anyway. So, hopefully this summer I can find a good chunk of time to actually, start beta testing and get cash flow positive as soon as I can, so that I can continue making the argument to keep paying more attention to the startup.
Wonderful. I love it. Yeah, no, shoot. Yeah. Again, we've got a lot of companies here in Philly that are doing that kind of thing. And the more I encounter, the more heartened I get over the process, because I feel less alone in all of that. So it's nice to know that other people are experiencing the same thing, but yay.
Yeah.
So you studied at Swarthmore. We got your amazing background in what you studied, because I got to say, like, that as liberal arts, yes, I totally feel you on that one. The sense of doing something though that like interpretive. What was the name of the
interpretation theory?
Interpretation theory. So so is that like artistic interpretation? Is it like interpretation of what exactly?
It's more about understanding the interpretation, the modes of interpretation. So it's interpreting any subject. Most of my classes were in the arts and religion and also poli-sci space, but Yeah, there were also, I think, language translation, like upper level language translation classes that were
Okay.
interpretation theory as well, and classics history. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, just yeah, obviously multiple ways to look at something, understand something, and report on that history and read statistics. And
Yeah.
yes, it's a very interdisciplinary
Yeah.
field, and it's that minor actually is only found at Swarthmore, so it's just a very liberal arts thing.
I can see that though. Like I actually got my bachelor's in history, and that one of the capstone course was a course on theory of history and how it's evolved and changed over the years into what it's currently become as a study. And but it's similar to that, like how to actually interpret these things and how to take a look at historical texts and read it and examine that. And really fascinating stuff. But the interpretation theory is like kind of goes into that, and it's like I could use a little more of that, I think.
Yeah. It's a great thing to pair with art history. I got very, very into modernism and all the different parts of modernism and contemporary stuff. Getting into the art theory, and I guess this leads into the study abroad story, because that's how I chose where to go.
That was actually my next question, was like, what made you decide? So where did you go, and what made you decide to go there?
Yeah, I chose to go to Hong Kong.
Nice.
For a few reasons. The first reason is because Swarthmore could pay for it. They
Smart.
The study abroad policy at Swarthmore is they'll cover the travel costs. So you shouldn't pick where you go based on whether you can afford to get there.
Nice.
And being at study abroad, I figured go far, go big or go home, right? I'm not gonna go to Canada or something. I don't know if any American study abroad students go to Canada, but that doesn't seem far enough.
I feel like unless you get your PhD in something.
Yeah.
The PhD country for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah. But I only speak English. So I wanted to go to a place where I could travel alone, only speaking English. And Hong Kong is majority English speaking. All of the spoken language on the street and the professional languages are all English. Did run into quite a few people who speak only Mandarin or Cantonese, but they're generally not. They're not like in the service industry or working at the university or anything like that. So it's very, very friendly place for international students and expats and people like me.
Okay.
And when were you there?
I was there in the fall of 2016.
All right. So what was the space like? We'll get in. You sent some really amazing photographs that I absolutely want to get into, but I just had a couple of questions around, like, what was your initial impression when you got there? Like, you're a student, you're in college, you're on your own, ostensibly for the first time, right? Like a lot of college students are, and you're now halfway across the world doing this thing. So lay the scene.
Yeah, I definitely I didn't take many like Asian studies or Chinese history courses. I love large cities. I love big cities, and being a fan of contemporary art and modern art, I love going where there are art sales. So I picked Hong Kong because of the contemporary art galleries. They have the most per capita in Asia.
Oh, really?
And I think art sales in like Hong Kong and Shanghai combined are more than like all of Europe and North America.
Wow.
So the contemporary art market in Hong Kong is insane. There's so much activity. There's so many art shows and gallery shows and all these events surrounding
and
that.
Can I just say, like, I went to Hong Kong in 10 years before you did. I think I was there in 06. I was there in 06. And a whole bunch of stuff just started making sense. I didn't know any of that, but now I can see it. Like I get it now a little bit more, because you see contemporary art all over Hong Kong, and it's represented even in like the advertising, like the way that people advertise products to you is very, I mean, everything looks like a perfume ad here in the States.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because with just commerce and history, like Hong Kong kind of became the place to sell stuff. And it being an island peninsula, it's the best place to sell art and for Western markets and Eastern markets. Like most of Chinese people will go to Hong Kong to buy art.
Wow.
And then also just the idea of this kind of a manufactured culture. Like they're building their city. There's a lot of political movement happening very quickly. So there's a lot of like, it's like a lot of people are trying to lay a stake in culture and establish cultural norms depending on their political things.
Nice.
Like for example, I don't know if you know, they're building, or maybe they've completed a Chinese National Museum replica in Hong Kong. So the same Chinese National Museum that's in Beijing, like their version of our like National Gallery, they replicated all the artifacts inside of it and made it in Hong Kong.
Hold on. What? Like the artifacts? Like
yes. Yeah, I'm gonna just look this up real fast to see if they've finished the construction. But yeah, just thinking about how Chinese politics and how Hong Kong wants to be a little bit more democratic and independent.
Right.
Yeah, just putting that museum right there. It's like almost saying like, this is, we're calling you guys a second capital, or you don't really know. It's
one of us.
Well, and historically, I guess that almost kind of makes sense too, because like historically, like Beijing and Nanjing, literally North capital and South capital, in translation. So Nanjing was the capital of southern China and Beijing was the capital of northern China. So having that sense of having two capitals actually resonates with me, because that's historically how the country existed for many, many years. So wanting to stake that claim in Hong Kong, especially since the turnover and since things have shifted a bit politically there. For those who are unfamiliar, the history of Hong Kong is really fascinating, and you should take a look at a Wikipedia page or something, or just even look up Hong Kong and click news and just see what's been up. There's been a number of demonstrations around China's growing influence in the area, but they were an English concession until 1998. And so they turned over after it was like 100 years was the agreement or something.
Yeah.
So, but they were under the crown for all that time. So it's been an interesting transitional period, we'll call it.
If you went in 2006, I just feel like things are moving so fast there. Construction and like political activity, just I can't imagine it. Like I bet 10 years before I went, it would have been unrecognizable. And now 2023, that's 7 years ago.
Yeah. I wonder if it was though, because I feel like when I was there, and this could just be like ignorance from living in the mainland, because I was living in China at the time. I was there getting my visa renewed, but and I only got to spend a week there. I wasn't, like living abroad in Hong Kong like you were, but I just from the pictures that I've seen that you have in the slides that we're going to look at, and just from the stories people have said, I feel like when I was there, there wasn't that much going on politically. I feel like things were really calm. And then China kind of amped up its, Hong Kong belongs to us. You are Chinese. You are not, Hong Kongese. You're not British, whatever. And I think that kind of shifted the dynamic a little bit. So I think when you were there was probably more tumultuous, even like there was a lot more transition happening. And I'm curious, like, did you see any demonstrations? Did you generally feel like safe? Like, how was your like personal safety and that kind of sensation?
Yeah, I definitely felt safe. Honestly, as an American going over there, hearing there's just no guns anywhere, that was enough to make me feel safe. But as far as the political situation, I also just felt safe there. I think maybe it was a year or two after the height of the umbrella protests. But I do remember like running into one kind of smallish demonstration on the street, trying to go back to my place on the tram, and it stopped because there were people in the street, nowhere for the tram to go. So then we had to like walk around, and we saw some those police shields, and it was really small though. It wasn't anything really notable, but yeah, it definitely seemed like things were dying down as I was there.
Okay.
And as they mentioned to all of the international students during our visiting student orientation, they just say stay away, especially to the Americans. They say just stay away, don't get politically involved. A lot of Americans are, I don't know if I want to say adventurous or stupid, but a lot of them will wander into that stuff, or get tempted to go into like North Korea or just something stupid like that. But
I'm not gonna lie, it is tempting. I actually almost went to North Korea. I mean, now I almost went with a tour group. I didn't go because of any political reasons. I would have gotten the right visas and everything, and the only reason I didn't was because it was really expensive. But I'm with you. I get you.
And I think the State Department actually advises there that when it comes to political protests, just stay away.
Don't.
You don't understand the politics. You don't know. You don't understand what the police action is going to look like around any of that.
Right.
Support whichever side
you don't know, and you don't know how. And you don't know how they will perceive you getting involved.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. There've been a lot of like espionage charges brought up against tourists who were in foreign countries, who were at either the wrong place at the wrong time or intentionally put themselves somewhere that they maybe shouldn't have been otherwise. But yeah, that is a good point of fact. I like that we're making these points, because this is not something that usually comes up when you talk about Hong Kong. But yeah, I'm going to add the photos here because I want to look at these with you. These are really cool. This is amazing. All right, so what are we looking at? What is this?
I think this is the view from Victoria Peak at night. So yeah, Victoria Peak is the highest point on Hong Kong Island.
Yeah. And
Hong Kong is split into two. There's the island, and then there's the peninsula. There's also like dozens of other tiny islands, but it's mostly the main island and the peninsula. So
and the peninsula is Kowloon that connects to the mainland.
Yeah, I'm at the tallest point on the island, facing the peninsula.
Nice. Okay, so that's Kowloon across the water.
Yeah.
Got it. And that body of water right there is actually Hong Kong Harbor.
Yes.
Okay. Nice. And this building over here is killing me. I'm loving this person in this white building off to the left over here. Like there's like we're talking about the contemporary art scene. Like this is what we're talking about. You just see stuff like this.
Yeah. You mean that guy with the blue on the bottom and
yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So at first it kind of looks like it could be a giant sculpture on top of a building, but it's not. I think it's a display on a skyscraper on the building in the peninsula. Like we're looking across the water, and they're like it's either a screen or a projection or something like that. But yeah, the skyline's always moving. It's very active.
And there's that is true. If anyone has any of if you've got like an Apple TV or anything and they do like the drone footage flying into Hong Kong, you'll see these buildings, the crosses on there. I remember that being the HSBC building, which when I was there was one of the taller buildings, if not the tallest when I was there. But I see there's a lot of buildup that's happened since then. And this is a weird, like a very small, almost claustrophobic kind of space because you're on an island. I mean, it's like the whole island is just basically Manhattan.
Yeah. What I think is interesting, and also doing like just comparing Hong Kong to Manhattan and stuff. What I think is so interesting about Hong Kong is that they section off, I think 40% of the land area to national forests. So you literally can't build on a lot of the land, which is why there are so many forests and so many skyscrapers, because you got to fit people in there. So it's so great because you've got these insanely high skyscrapers and then like the best camping ground just a mile to the left.
That's so cool.
That's amazing.
Wait, did you go camping while you were there?
No, I'm not a camping person. I did go to the beach a couple times, but sometimes I have to like travel far to get to some galleries or whatever. So I saw all the stuff, and it's great for indoorsy and outdoorsy people.
Nice.
But yeah, I think this shot, you can tell that like there's a lot of skyscrapers clustered together, but you can also see just a lot of darkness around the outside. Like if you were taking a photo of Manhattan or the 5 boroughs, it would just feel like just lights everywhere.
Yeah.
As far as the eye could see.
Yeah. And it's an interesting point that you're making, because so you're looking across the harbor at Kowloon, which is China. So this is all mainland China across the water. And when people come in from the mainland, like they go through Kowloon, and it can get confusing because you're like, I'm going to Hong Kong. What's this Kowloon thing? But that tends to be a port of entry for a lot of people. And it was when I came in. But to your point, it's all dark up there as well, because that's all just like forests and farmlands, and there's like nothing. like
Actually, so I think the border to China is a little bit further out in the distance, further into the black space.
Yeah.
But actually, I might have to double check that. You know, it's a peninsula, so it comes out a bit, but there are other ways to. There's a lot of ways to get from China into Hong Kong because
and there's a border crossing, right? Like you have to do the passport, because I had to. I assume you still do, because even back then it was still.
Yeah, so when I landed there, I flew in straight to Hong Kong, and then within like a month, I had to go to Macau and come back just so I could re-enter to activate the visa or something like that. I can't remember.
That sounds right.
But I don't think I went through the same port that you did.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Because I went from the north. I came in. Yeah. And that was a whole experience, because it was like a 24-hour train ride from Beijing. And then you get off the train and you're all woozy, and then they put you on a bus and they drive you across, like they do border control, and then you have to like walk across, like it was like a whole thing. And I don't even know if that's still the case, but most people wouldn't have to do that anyway. You just fly into Hong Kong, like just go straight.
I just thought it was so weird how like literally all of the visiting students at HKU, we had to do a day trip to Macau. It was, and I was wondering, like, are they like, you know, in business with some like travel agent or something? Like, is Macau getting money from this? Is this some scheme?
Did you take the hydrofoil? There's there's a catamaran that takes you from Hong Kong.
We took a ferry.
Okay. Was it the speedboat one where it like lifts up out of the water and then goes?
Oh no, I don't think it was that fast. There were a lot of people on it. I don't think it was that fast.
Oh, this one had a lot of people too. And it's weird how fast you can go with a lot of people on you, but I was out cold for most of it. I just was awake for the beginning and the end, like when they tell you like, okay, so the boat's going to like do this thing. And then as soon as the boat takes off, like, cause it lifts up as it's moving, everyone starts vomiting. All of these people who can't handle being on the water, just right off the bow. You're like, okay.
I don't remember that. I remember mine being a smooth ride. It kind of felt like I was on Amtrak.
I was fine. Yeah, it was smooth for me too, but some people just don't handle it. It happens.
Speedboats get a little dicey, especially on choppy waters.
And it's almost never choppy between the outlying islands. Like it's very.
So this photo is my neighborhood. This is just a cool looking building in my neighborhood, and just gives you a nice shot of the neighborhood vibes. I like just how utilitarian the buildings are, you know, just make a space for family, give them a window, there you go. It doesn't, I don't know. I like just, it's just very uniform and square, and everything's a grid. I don't know. I really like the uniformity and the utilitarianness of it. And if you look across the street, there's a building that's kind of covered with this mesh screen and bamboo.
Yep.
All of the skyscrapers, no matter how tall, they are all built using these bamboo structures. And it is just insane. Like, I mean, you see cranes too every now and then, but it's just bamboo. It must be very green.
It's plentiful. More of it than I know what to do with, I'm sure.
They build so fast. I was there for 4 months, and I swear I saw them like double the size of the building just across the street from me. Like maybe it started like 20-ish stories, but it ended like 40, 50.
Wild. Oh my. Yeah, I don't even know like what to make of the bamboo situation, because you kind of think of bamboo and you're like, that is what this is. Like, you're like, not my building. There's no way. But it's super structurally sound.
It's just bamboo going up and across. And I don't know what they're using to tie it together, if it's some kind of string or like zip ties or something, but it's just
Scotch tape.
Yeah.
Duct tape.
Whatever you find. Thumbtacks.
And also the street that we're on, I think you can kind of see the tram lines in the middle of the street, but that's the main street on Hong Kong Island. It wraps like halfway along the island and hits all of the major spots. But yeah, it just takes like I don't know, like 25 Hong Kong cents or 10. It takes a dime of US money to just hop on the tram and get from one side of the island to the next, and they're always coming.
Hong Kong money is really pretty too.
It's
gorgeous. The flowers on it are so cool. I don't even know what
the lotus flowers and all that.
Is that what they are?
Yeah, I think they are.
Stunning. Yeah. So it's the Hong Kong dollar and then the cents. They don't do like quarters and such like we do though, right? Like
I don't know what their name is, but they'll say like 10 or 20 or things.
Yeah. They're all like rounded denominations. Like okay.
Yeah. This is my dorm area. This is half of the bedroom. I shared a bedroom. I was in visiting student housing at the University of Hong Kong. So everyone in my building was visiting from another country.
Okay.
And it was split between undergrad visitors and graduate student visitors. So I was actually sharing a room with a law school visitor.
That's wild.
Yeah, she was cool. I rarely saw her. I'm sure she was working a lot more than I was.
A few more things to do. Oh yeah.
Were all the students from the United States, or were they from all over?
They were all over. I'd say the US was probably the smallest. We had the least representation among the study abroad students.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was mostly Europeans, Australians, and other Asian countries.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay. And then do you have your own restroom? Did you have to share?
Oh no. So there were two of these little desk bed setups in that very, very tiny room. Our room was like the size of my closet now. And there were 3 of those in the apartment. So 6 people, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms.
Oh, wow.
But no kitchen either. It was just a hot plate and a sink and a microwave.
Oh, wow. So did you do any cooking? Was it just mostly
No. I guess that's another wonderful thing about Hong Kong. The food is very cheap and it is everywhere.
And it's great.
It is great. Restauranting is so a part of the culture on like every level. It's insanely affordable, but you can also find very, very expensive 5-star stuff. But it's just a part of the culture. I think also because of the living spaces and how like close together everyone has to live. Like it's kind of hard to build kitchens in these places.
Oh,
so people just kind of routinely eat out.
Interesting.
That makes a lot of sense. I remember I had been in China for 6 months already, at least. And like I said, I was doing my visa renewal. And I remember getting off the train and being a little like out of it and really hungry and walking into like how there's like grocery stores and such like under shopping plazas typically. So the mall, you go to the mall and then there's always a grocery store in the mall. And I love grocery stores in other countries because that's where you find the international space where you can find like the American stuff and then stuff from other countries. But I walked in and there was like a sandwich shop and I was like, I'm just going to get a sandwich and see what's up here. Cause sandwiches in mainland were very weird. And I get the sandwich and I bite into the sandwich and I'm like, it was like the best sandwich I had ever. I don't know if it was just 6 months of having been in China or what, but it was just like, you could have fed me peanut butter and jelly, but at the same time it wasn't. And it was so good. Like even for sandwich standards, it was just amazing.
Oh,
I love the food.
I need to go back just for the food and all the cultures. You can find every food.
Right. Yeah. Oh man.
Spicy food too. Oh.
Right.
Hey, and here's some of the contemporary art. Yeah,
I love this picture. Are these
feathers shooting out the wall or made to look like it's a sculpture? It's all static. But yeah, I love contemporary art. I like how it's weird and up for interpretation.
So what was your interpretation of the feathers coming out of the wall?
I don't know, like, ooh, that's cool. I want a photo by it. I don't really remember.
Feels more like an interactive piece.
Do you remember the artist by chance?
I don't remember, but I can probably, I may be able to look it up. The thing is, I went to so many galleries, I can't even like trace back and see what was in exhibition at the time. But maybe I might be able to.
No, I kind of figured that was going to be your answer because I don't know if you remember, you and I were talking about that. And I thought, because again, I was there for a week and I thought that the gallery I had gone to, and I spent 3 of those days in Macau, so I wasn't even in Hong Kong the whole time, but I thought the gallery I went to was like the contemporary art like I didn't know there were so many of them. And so when I said that to you, you were like, well, which one did you go to? And I was like, what? I was like, it was the one with the book display. And you were like, I don't know. Not sure. But somebody, I wish, I need to go back and find this because I have photos of the display. But this artist created their own language based off of Chinese characters. So it's all characters, like 10,000 of them that they created and wrote in scrolls and books. And I mean, the scrolls were like 5 feet wide and then ran the length of the room and hung down. It was like Book from Heaven or something like that was what the name of the display was. But it was the whole room and just thousands of characters that didn't actually exist except in this person's mind. It was so cool.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen like snapshots or something. It's gonna come to me one day.
I'll see if I can find it. I did try to look it up after we chatted, but this doesn't surprise, like that's what I'm saying. Seeing stuff like this doesn't surprise me. It's like the time and energy that must have gone into just placing every feather.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean I'm fascinated by contemporary art on a lot of levels, but especially just the sellability of it, or how so much of it is focused on the market and how things can sell for literally you never really know what price. So with a piece like this, and galleries are, I mean, the word gallery can be used in a different way, but when you're talking about the art industry, a gallery is a sale room. It's a sales room. So galleries or gallerists, they're selling art. So when you go into like a small gallery that has 2 or 3 artists on view, it's because that's the stuff that's what's in season. That's the sale right now. So when I go into small galleries, especially in a place like Hong Kong, I'm like, what is a buyer looking at? What are investors looking at? What are artists looking at? It trying to create things that they can sell. So I'm like, in this piece, like, how do you sell this? How does one rearrange those feathers after they buy it and they display it wherever they want to display it?
Like, does it look the same after the fact?
Yeah. And this piece and the next slide too. It's definitely
whoa. Okay.
They're both installations, which is one of the more fun, I think one of the more fun formats of contemporary art, installations. But yeah, how do you reinstall this when it moves? This is only in this gallery for a few months, and then hopefully it moves somewhere else or someone buys it. How does someone from Christie's come in and say, I want to sell this at auction?
Right.
Okay. There's a lot that you're unpacking for me here, because we just went to the Galerie Moderne here in Philadelphia for the first time, maybe a month ago, something like that. Yes.
yes. It was something like a couple months now, maybe.
Yeah. And talking to Josh Abel over there, who I also hope to get on the podcast at some point to talk about exactly this kind of thing, was going through a similar sort of like, because I was asking him like, so how does this sell? What is not, without asking like what's the point, but kind of what's the point? Because for a noob like me who right now is not going to be in the market for something like this, we'll give it a couple of years and see. How do you buy this or make the decision to get into it? And
yeah, well, I mean, looking at this piece specifically, I'm thinking like, each item that you see hanging is probably cataloged. There's probably a number.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe there's even like a QR code system or something. But there's probably a cataloging system, and then like maybe even a huge storage pod that they made specifically for this sculpture. And I'm sure the buyer knows that, when they are ready to display this thing, they have to adhere to the instructions on how to install it. And probably the artists themselves probably had a hand in writing those instructions, because it's their art, their idea. So they got to make sure that whatever it is being communicated every time you install the installation.
I'm going to look at art so differently now, just on the basis of this conversation. This is awesome. I never would have considered any of this, because to me, it's like I walk in and I'm like, wow, that's cool. Or, this is whatever, and I'm interpreting my own thing around it, but I'm doing my own thing. I'm not thinking about it from the perspective of any of this ancillary storytelling that you're giving around this whole thing. Like, this is all part of the art. Like truthfully, like
positioning and everything is
the context. To your point about interpretation, it's the context of all of it. Who's buying it, why they're interested in it, where it went. Are the lights meant to be part of this as well? Like, should you hang them near fluorescent lights? Should you have like another type of lighting system going on? Like, where are you seeing this going in your house?
There are, and then, there are difference between site-specific installations and non-site specific. I mean, site-specific installations you can kind of call a monument, because that is tied to the location. But see, now we're really getting into art theory, and this is why I should teach a course.
What I'm hearing is Swarthmore did good. The program works. Okay, so these came out a little fuzzy. I apologize. I had to kind of expand them a bit because they were small. But what's happening here?
So these are some of the arts excursions I went at as a student at HKU. So on the right, in that orange dress, is one of the art history professors. And she took the art club to some gallery and gave us a tour.
Nice.
So that was a nice field trip. So all the other students there, it's a mix of Hong Kong students and international students. Okay. And then on the left is just another artist talk that I happened to catch, just going on one of my gallery visits. Stumbled upon the event where the artist on the left, I think in that kind of dress with the gray shoes, the gold shoes, she's there talking about her art, the art, and to the right of her, to her left, is the translator. So she was speaking in Cantonese and he was translating into English.
Got it. And for the record, for anyone who is studying any Chinese languages, because there are many, not just Mandarin and Cantonese, there's lots of dialects and whatnot. People ask me a lot, because I did study Mandarin when I was there. So you could understand Cantonese? Not the same. Very, very different languages. Did you do any language study before you went, or while you were there?
I took French in high school and one class at Swarthmore.
Nice.
But I wasn't too interested in French language or the francophone diaspora, I guess, to go to one of those countries.
Okay.
I think I picked Hong Kong because I could get around in English.
Nice.
But yeah, I can explain a little bit more. But my brother he's completely fluent in Japanese. So I don't know, kind of growing. It's like I didn't want to be my brother, so in some ways I've stayed away from that stuff.
Great.
But yeah, I knew absolutely no Mandarin or Cantonese going in. Okay. I think maybe when I left, I knew like a handful of words, but I've since forgotten.
Gotcha. Okay. It's and that's not why you're there. You're there for other things.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. So okay, so this is nothing. I assume this is a.
Yeah, it isn't. It is nothing.
It is nothing.
This is a installation. I don't know if it's an architectural installation, but this was what was in place of the art museum because that was under construction. So yeah, their art museum was going under a major reconstruction. I think it was going to be closed for 2 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I couldn't go to the main art museum while I was there. But they had these contemporary kind of excursions that they would put on the same land or nearby where the site construction was. So this is what they had on view at the moment, and it's pretty cool. It's this, it's kind of a conceptual. I don't know. It really plays with your perception. There's mirrors and things all over the place. Think of it like what's that thing at the fair with all the mirrors?
The fun house?
Yeah, think of it like a very modern conceptual fun house.
That's okay.
But in a very cool way. I feel like I just made it sound dumb, and it wasn't.
I mean, I like fun houses. Like, I actually kind of think that's neat. Like, because there's something about seeing things reflected that's really fun. When I take pictures, I like to take pictures of things reflected in water and then invert them. So that's kind of my whole, because you get really cool like effects depending on if the water's moving or not, or if there's, there's always some element of movement. But yeah, I that's what I love about mirrors too. They have that kind of same dynamic.
Yeah, definitely. In glass.
Yeah. One thing I noticed about this that I appreciated as well. So you look at my eyes were immediately drawn to the English lettering. So I could see like Chang Kingwan name and then nothing. And then down beneath that, though, I noticed like, okay, and there's the artist's name, and you see the character for nothing with a line through it, just like you see the nothing in English. And it's very cool. Just, I don't know. That kind of like resonated for a second. I was like, oh, that's so neat. It's like a Chinese character that's represented the same way it is in English, which why wouldn't it be? But at the same time, you're kind of like, lines have meaning. So when they're not there, what happens to that character, what happens to that letter, like what does it mean now? So
I thought that exactly. I thought like, with this character stand alone with the line through it, would people actually understand it? I have no clue exactly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because it's not just one letter for us. It's it's a whole sound out thing. But having the what are those ideographs, right? I think those are called ideographs.
Pictographs?
What is it?
Pictograph?
Pictographs. I'm sorry. Yeah, pictographs. So you have the representation of something, but then a piece of that something is missing.
Right.
Like, is it still something?
Yeah. Wait, when you were in China, did you go to the National Museum?
No, I didn't get to spend a lot of time in Beijing. Yeah, it was. Usually when I was in Beijing, it was for other people. So I was showing them like things they wanted to see. So it was always like going out to like the Great Wall and going past the I almost said the egg, the nest, and the water cube, which can I say in person are both very beautiful and impressive. Even though you can't go inside the nest because it is structurally unsound.
I was going to say that's that was designed to be temporary, wasn't it? And then they were going to repurpose
I don't know if it was
stadium.
I don't know that it was. I think it was just hastily built. But the water cube is phenomenal. That one is very cool. It's like a membrane on the outside, and it shifts colors, and you see the shift happen like in this sort of like membrane material that coats the outside of the building. And that is just what's between the inside and outside of the building. It's not like solid inside of that, so far as I can tell, but it is phenomenal. Like
that building, it kind of reminds me of the Louvre in Abu Dhabi.
Oh, okay. Wait, have you been?
It looks like it has a membrane, kind of. If you know, but it's made a completely different way with the two shells kind of shifting over each other.
Okay.
You went on me.
But I have not been to Abu Dhabi.
I've literally only been through Abu Dhabi. We had like a 14-hour layover there one time when I was a kid. And so I couldn't even, all I remember was seeing a billboard with a woman in a swimsuit after spending a little over or almost a year in Pakistan and being like, whoa. What is happening? Yeah. Okay. So where is this? What are we looking at here?
This is at the convention center. Hong Kong has a huge convention center. It's an events place. So they have a huge convention center. And I think in my time there were at least 4 different big art shows.
Okay.
One was Christie's, another was Sotheby's, and then like two other just shows there. So this is one of those art shows.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see, there's this big thing in the center that's probably for sale. You can see the booths in the back of other galleries that are probably around Asia or Australia or Indonesia, and they're just there trying to interact with the international markets that come to Hong Kong. Yeah, it's insane. It's like a trade show, but everything's like 10 grand or more.
Right. And I'm looking at the surrounding area in here. These rafters up here are angled, like they're like domed.
Yeah, this is the convention center, the main, it's like a freaking airplane hangar.
Wow.
Yeah.
The space itself is so cool.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, they were showing art everywhere. It was all over the place. Any opportunity where they can sell it, any venue where they can sell it, they would.
It's amazing.
And I put this photo right before the next photo because they're not directly related, but in my mind they're related.
I have to ask a really quick question. Because I was noticing these little bowls at the base of this statue. Are these ashtrays?
I don't know. They look like glass things, like they could be part of the sculpture.
I only ask because like in China you can smoke everywhere, but it's not. Is it like that in Hong Kong or?
I don't remember.
I can't imagine you can in a gallery. That feels like not appropriate.
Yeah, I definitely don't remember seeing that. I'm trying to think if I saw that at restaurants or something, but I definitely did see a lot of smoking everywhere.
Okay. Yeah, that was a
not so much indoors though.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is a hotel room. This is a bathtub, and this is where they were also having an art show.
What?
So yeah, this is a really, really cool art show. It was in one of the fancy 5-star hotels in one of the skyscrapers in the expensive districts. And each gallery got a bedroom. And they were displaying art around the room, on the bed, on the sink, around the bathtub.
That's wild.
Yeah, so each of those things, I can't really see the price, but they're legit galleries. These aren't like $10 paintings. These are $10,000 paintings.
which is unfortunate for my budget because I love these. These speak to me. I love this style. Like,
would you display it in your bathtub next to your bathtub?
Yeah. Absolutely. If I had a bathtub, I totally would. That's the first place I'd hang.
Yeah, it wouldn't work in the stall. I don't think the shower stall as much as it would the bathroom.
Ooh,
no, these are amazing. Every room
maybe there's a market for waterproof frames for your shower. Maybe you stumbled upon a new startup idea, Jim.
Oh man, my mind is blown right now. Every room was its own gallery. You were like,
yeah. And the next photo too, it's just showing some on the bed.
And
people just looking around. Yeah, it's really cool, really creative. I think I did have to buy a ticket, but it wasn't expensive.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was kind of like chaos because it was like how hotels often have events and conventions and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if the convention chaos wasn't just in the conference room, but like extended throughout all of the rooms of the whole hotel. It was fun.
Oh
yeah, no, that's really interesting use of space there too.
Right. To your point about like everything kind of being on top of everything else, and if you can't maybe afford to show in a larger gallery, renting out a floor of a hotel might be more effective. I don't know.
Yeah. It's definitely unique.
That is so cool.
Oh yeah, and then some of the arts were, again, they were just showing art anywhere they could find space, but taking over warehouses and storage facilities and turning those spaces into art galleries is definitely a popular thing. It kind of has that Brooklyn feel, where you take something that used, I don't know, like a carpet warehouse, and next thing you know, it's an art gallery. So this is one of those spaces. I think like across the hall from this art gallery was like a warehouse space that was still being used as that. Like we saw people with, hard hats and boots working right across from this fine art gallery where the walls are painted white and there's, nice soft music playing. There's maybe some white wine.
Some grapes, just
yeah.
as you do. It's you're reminding me of when I lived in Kansas City. We had the same thing. There was a whole what's it called? The warehouse district in Kansas City, which I don't know if it's still this, but there were a bunch of art galleries down there, and they would do like a First Friday kind of situation. And it is. It's all just like warehouses and such. And like in October, they all get turned into haunted houses, but in like the rest of the year, it's all,
I've heard about the art scene in Kansas City. That's very high on my list of art places in the States.
I mean, if you're into, the Nelson Atkins alone, but you've got the Kansas City art school is there. That's not what it's called. I can't remember the name all of a sudden. It is just the Art Institute. The Art Institute.
Art Institute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is an artwork. I'm looking at an artwork. That's an artwork. Right
looking at an artwork.
This sink. There's some weird stuff out there. The sink and the running water with the plant in the sink, the blue thing underneath with a little sponge in it. That whole thing is the artwork.
Oh.
Don't ask me to explain it to you.
Nope. Wouldn't dream of it.
Art is left to the eye of the beholder anyway, right?
Correct.
Yes. I thought it was pretty.
I like it. I was wondering when I was looking at your pictures, I was kind of like, like for like my immediate thought, if I'm being truthful, I thought maybe this was you showing off your dorm bathroom. And then I was like, wait, she's holding wine. So it might still be a dorm bathroom.
Yep. Wearing black, holding wine. That was a gallery visit. Oh, and this was an art performance. Performance art. I think those two were students at the university, but this was a gallery that was close to the university. And it was just another event that I stumbled upon. Yeah, I was in the gallery and then they were just like, all right, we're starting this in 5. And it was just a great coincidence. But yeah, if I remember correctly, I should have took a video. These two actors, they started kind of close to the door, the glass door that you see in the far end. And they just kind of, they moved in awkward movements towards the other end of the gallery. So they were traveling from one end to the next. But you can't really call it a dance because there was no rhythm. But they were just moving in very weird ways. It's like the challenge was, get from point A to point B in using the weirdest movements possible.
It mimics life.
Yeah. Hey, you get it. You get it. Interpretation theory right there.
I didn't, but I'll take it. It was not my first place. I was like, that's not. I don't know what I do.
I feel like I'm moving very awkwardly across a stage at all times, so this works for me.
I just kept thinking of Monty Python.
I feel like, Jim, you get this more than I do.
I'll take it. I'm not sure that's true, but
that's so cool. I'm seriously. I was like the Office of Funny Walks. Like that was. That's all I could think of. Yeah, this was an interesting picture because I did see this as what you just described in terms of I thought it was a dance, and I thought these were people who were maybe just doing some kind of performance in that space, but not. I don't know why. Like it not being a dance is kind of like stuck.
Sticks in your craw there.
It is because it looks very poetic, like a dance would be, but not like a awkward.
Yeah, I think poetry might be a good way to describe performance art because you're not acting, you're not dancing, and you're not just moving like you normally are. It's this weird poetry of movement. It's just in between all the others. Okay. Yeah, I think you guys are getting this more than I am.
You should teach this. I think you've got a really great way of describing these things that just I just don't think about this. Like, this isn't just something that would like appear before me, but then suddenly you say it and it's like, oh, yeah.
Hey, great.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that's why I like art history so much. You know, I did dabble in making art growing up in high school and everything, but I chose art history as my major instead of studio art because I liked reading about art. I liked the going between the verbal and the written and the visual, like that kind of translation between like what you're seeing and how you talk about what you're seeing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But that makes a lot of sense to me. Like, when you're studying, again, the context of something, it's taking an interpretive space and interpreting it. And like, that requires understanding how other people see it as well. So the way that you're describing this is helping me sort of formulate my own understanding around it in a way that I wouldn't have had prior to you saying this thing about what I'm looking at or what I'm experiencing. I love that.